Welcome everyone to the latest edition of Senior Showcase, and we're doing a college edition, and honored to have Luke Annen, 2016 graduate of Prairie Ridge, and now a 2020 graduate of, and I'll let you kind of share the rest.
So I just recently graduated from University of Tennessee in Knoxville with a major in electrical engineering, and yeah, I mean, it didn't end how I wanted to. Like I'm sure most of the other seniors everywhere have experienced, but got to make the most of the situation. Deal with it, I guess. I mean, there's nothing. It's kind of out of our control right now. So
now, did you? When did Tennessee go on? Kind of, was it similar to the other schools when they went on e-learning strictly, or how'd that process go for you?
I think we were later than probably most of the other people around the country, but at first it was like the day before we went to spring break that they just pushed it back to I think April, and then like 5 days later they're just like, yeah, we're done for the year. So it was like mid-spring break. It was before everything really got bad, but I think we all kind of expected that we weren't going to go back to school at all. But it was still definitely a harsh reality, because with that, once that hit, we're like, oh sweet, we got school online. That's easy, nice and easy. But then we're like, oh dang, we're not gonna have a graduation in person, which kind of stinks. And especially for me and some of the other 2016 baseball players, I've never had a real graduation, because for high school we had that regional championship game. So
that's right.
You know, we were there for maybe 10 minutes, called our name, went up, got our diploma, and went and played a baseball game. So I've never had a real graduation ceremony ever. I mean, I guess you could go back to middle school, but I don't think that really counts.
Sure. And now, did they reschedule something for July or August for you guys, or to partake in the summer one?
They haven't scheduled anything yet. They've just talked about it. I think probably the most realistic thing would be that we come back or have the option to come back in the winter, but they haven't said anything set in stone yet. So
okay, yeah, that does. I imagine that sucks, especially how much you guys have busted your butt for 4 years and such. Let's go back to what first brought you to becoming a Vol to begin with. I mean, what was that process like for you?
So just being honest with you, and it hurts me to say this, but I was probably first just interested in Vanderbilt, just because I always liked their baseball team growing up. They're good. So I went down to visit there, loved the area, realized that I probably wasn't realistically going to go there, just in terms of getting in there. And then if, for financial reasons, it's just very expensive. So I was like, well, I really like Tennessee. So I looked around and found UT, which is on the other side of the state, but applied there, visited down here, and kind of never looked back. Just from when I visited, I'm like, yeah, I should go here. It's definitely a ways away from home, but I mean, I could go home on breaks and stuff, which was fine. And I just really felt at home down here. The campus is great. The people are great. And then I just fell in love with the SEC tradition, of football. They weren't very good when I was here, but still, even having some of the worst football seasons in history at UT, the football stadium was always packed, which was awesome.
Yeah, and you guys would always do the literally white and yellow sections, or however you did it, right?
Yeah, that was once a year. They'd checker it, and even though there'd be opposing teams that like fans there, they would always partake too, which was super cool. So
oh, nice. So tell me, how was it when you first, now did you I know this, but did you share what your major is?
Yeah, electrical engineering.
Okay, sorry. I want to make sure that got covered. Now, when you first got on campus, what did you do to get yourself assimilated into the culture of University of Tennessee?
So that fall semester, I just kind of, really focused on class, just wanted to get a hang of the campus and stuff. So the walk to class every day was probably like 10 to 15 minutes. But really just kind of got assimilated with campus itself because, I visited here once and then had an orientation. So I'd only been on campus really twice before I actually enrolled in school. And just, really did my best to be involved. So went to every football game, went to some like soccer games, went to some different games that first semester. Tried to get involved with club baseball a little bit my freshman year. And then it really probably wasn't until the second semester I joined a fraternity, and that really kind of, exploded the social aspect of it. I met a bunch more people outside of class, obviously, and then just really went from there. And I'm still best friends with half the kids in my fraternity that we still keep in close contact with and such.
Now, which fraternity are you a member of?
Sigma Phi Epsilon.
Okay. Okay. Nice. And what was that for people that don't know? What was the rush process or trying to get on a fraternity like for you?
So here you can do fall semester and then spring semester rush. So I honestly, probably looking back on it, that was probably one of my only regrets in college was not rushing in the fall, because if you rush, you don't necessarily have to join something, but it's a good thing to get your name out there and meet some people, which I wish I would have at least done. But anyway, second semester decided to do that. So it's a lot more small and relaxed in the spring. But basically how the process was back then was you'd have 3 hours for it was like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then on Saturday you pick one. But when I did it, it was very relaxed. You could go to as many houses you want. You could go to 2 houses, you could go to 1 and go home. But very relaxed, so very informal, just going around to wherever you'd like to and meeting guys there. But since then, they've changed the process a little bit. So now you have to go to every single house for a certain amount of time, which kind of stinks. But on the other hand, I probably only went to 4 or 5 houses total, whereas now you get to see a little bit of everything, which is nice, but a lot longer and a lot more strenuous days with that.
Great. Now, what's the makeup at the University of Tennessee? Is there a lot of out-of-state people? Is it 70% Tennessee folks? What's that like?
So I would say it's a majority people from Tennessee, but there's a lot of people from Georgia, from Virginia. I'm forgetting one. There's a good amount of people from the Chicagoland area, but you'll kind of just randomly bump into people from Chicago. You'll be like, oh yeah, I'm from Chicago, and they're like, oh no way, I'm from Chicago. And then you kind of dive in. I'm not actually from Chicago. I'm from Crystal Lake. So there's a lot of people from like Naperville and such here, St. Charles. But I would say it's majority Tennessee, just because if you're a pretty good student in high school from Tennessee, you really get a good deal going to school here. Not to mention it's a great school to begin with. But
oh, that's awesome. And so what are some volunteer traditions? And I know you got to learn the song. What is it? Good old Rocky Top, or how's that song?
Rocky Top. Yeah.
I won't make you sing it, but what are some other UT traditions that you kind of learn once you go there?
So I would just say, like you said, you can't go wrong with Rocky Top, and I'm sure everyone else hates that song as well as our Orange that we haven't been good, so people probably haven't hated us too much lately. But just filling up the stadium. I think our fans just have something to speak about it. Like I said, we've been not the best, but no matter what, that stadium's always sold out every weekend.
Yeah, the
fans are just diehard. So that's just been awesome. Just kind of no matter what, always having something to do on the weekends every Saturday. But not to mention that our basketball team has been really good since we've been here. So usually the best games are kind of in that stretch where Christmas break is. So I'm usually home, but every year the biggest thing was going to the Kentucky game. So you'd have to be like going there a couple hours early to get in line, because the tickets were kind of weird for the basketball games for students. But just getting in line there, and every year besides this year, we beat them at home. So that's been insane because, Kentucky's one of, every year in, year out, they're always top 10 in the nation for basketball. But just seeing them play the Vols at home has been awesome every year. And we've been lucky enough to beat them at home, which has been awesome. So,
And you guys weren't you Elite Eight last year, or am I missing? You guys were up there.
I think, yeah, we were Elite Eight. Or no, we were Sweet 16.
Sweet 16?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't remember where it was, or if was it, did you play Auburn then too?
Played Auburn in the SEC championship, and then we lost to Purdue on like a close call.
That's right.
Yep.
Okay. Now, did you get a chance, because it seems like in talking to different people, after a while, especially when you become older. So did you live in the house, the fraternity house, for a little bit?
I did not. So I lived on campus the first 2 years, and our campus is it has a little weird setup. So the first year I was in like the freshman kind of quad. The second year I was in like an apartment style complex, but it was still technically on campus. But if I showed you where it was on campus, you'd be like, that's not on campus. And then these past 2 years I've lived technically off campus, but probably closer. It's like right on the strip. So at Tennessee, we have the strip, which has like some of the bars and restaurants, fast food restaurants and stuff like that. And it's technically off campus, but if I were to walk out the backside of my apartment complex, I'm on campus. So it's a little different than most colleges, where if you said off campus, you would think, oh, you got to drive to class. But the walk for me was still like 10 to 15 minutes for class for me.
Got it. Now, what was the obviously you're a great student. You had fun when you were at campus. How hard was it for you to balance that?
I wouldn't say it was too hard. I mean, just during the week, really just getting your classwork done on time. Just going to, I mean, the most important thing is just go to class. I mean, if you're not going to class, it's going to be hard to succeed, just because if you're sleeping all day, you're not going to be getting stuff done. But if you're going to class, put your name out there, showing your name in class, you're gonna get stuff done during the day, as well as learning. Like you're paying all this money to go to college, might as well go to class. But I think it was probably tough for me compared to high school, just because high school I played 2 sports, had that routine of school, and then at night you'd have practice or a game or whatnot. So you would almost think it would be harder to manage your time then, but just because I was so busy then, I found it really easy to get my work done, because I knew I had to get stuff done, because I couldn't procrastinate because I didn't have time after practice or whatnot. But that was probably the biggest adjustment I was worried about in college, just because I wasn't playing sports. I just had class during the day, and that schedule changes based on the day. And so it was really easy and tempting to want to come back from class and take a nap or play video games, or go work out or go play ball with my friends at the field. But I think just being able to prioritize your time after class, whether that be go lock yourself in the library for a couple hours, or chunk out time to get stuff done. That was a really big thing in college for me, and I was successful in doing that. And once I got to sophomore year, I picked up a tutoring job, so that helped me prioritize my time a little bit better, because I knew, during this time on this day I gotta work. But at the same time, it's also a really nice setup, because if people didn't show up, I just got to do my homework and wait on people to come in. So that was a very nice setup too.
So you were like in a tutoring center?
Yeah. So there's the Student Success Center here on campus. So just through them, I just tutored classes that I had taken already. So it was mostly just math, science, physics, just that kind of thing that I'd already taken in classes here, or some ones that I took at the end of high school.
Awesome. Okay. Now, so you got through, and it's amazing because you're an electrical engineer. You got through in 4 years, which is not necessarily the norm anymore.
Yep.
So kudos to you on that, because that's definitely a challenge. I'm sure your first few engineering classes, you probably were going, "What have I done, and why am I here?" I don't know. Did you have that? Did you hit that wall? You hear that with engineering students; they kind of go, like they almost weed you out.
Right. I would say like my freshman year, we didn't really have engineering classes. To be honest with you, it was mostly just physics class, math, and stuff like that. Some like gen eds. I want to say like gen eds for engineering almost. But it probably I didn't hit that feeling until sophomore year when I kind of went into my actual electrical engineering classes. So like my first circuits class, I just remember that was probably the hardest I've ever had to work in school. And I was like, I literally called my mom like 3 times and had gone to my like counselor, like, I'm dropping this. Like, I'm not going to pass this. I cannot do this. Kind of took a step back and I was like, looked at it, saw that if I, did all right on my last couple tests, I'd be all right. But that was tough. I mean, all through high school, I mean, I was a pretty good student and it came somewhat easy to me, but I hit that class and I was like, I don't know if I should do this. But stuck it out. I was lucky enough to find a group of friends in my major that we all kind of leaned on each other from that point forward, and we've been best friends since. But yeah, it was definitely tough, and I think just kind of from there, you kind of just get into a groove, and you're like, all right, just buckle down, we got this, and it was just like, all right, we got one more year, we got a couple more semesters, and now I'm here. So, but definitely, I think everyone will probably run into a time in college when they're like, I don't know if I'm cut out for this, but I think everyone kind of feels that way in college for at least a little bit, which is totally okay. It's not supposed to be easy. If it was easy, everyone would do it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I kind of from then it's been kind of downhill running, but definitely wasn't easy.
No, that's great. That's great advice, and it seems like you took a very disciplined approach to get through your day and everything
Yep.
you were doing. Did now, luckily, I guess, being your senior year, you were probably on cruise control that last semester, anyways, right?
Yeah.
I
Yep.
guess maybe if you were a junior this year, it would have been a pretty tough
Yes.
year
Yeah.
because of your workload. Now, did you stayed down at Knoxville for a while, right, during the quarantine, or how did you handle that transition?
Yeah. So they kind of buckled down. So during spring break is when they kind of said we weren't going back to school, basically. And they basically said if you lived on campus, you got to move out. But I don't live on campus. Like there's people that still live here
Mm-hmm.
throughout the whole year where I live. So they're very, very relaxed about it. Kind of do your own thing. But yeah, I didn't really know what to do. So, because all my friends, I was going to maybe stay down here, but all my friends were like, I'm just going home. There's nothing to do here.
Okay.
So I was just kind of came back from spring break and I was like, I don't know what to do. And so I stayed down here for a couple days and then actually went up to Cincinnati to stay with my girlfriend and her family for a little bit. And then just went home. What was that? At the beginning of April. And then I came back. I'm down in Knoxville right now for a week and a half, just to pack up my stuff and say goodbye to Knoxville for at least a little bit until whenever hopefully got football season this fall. But
kind of last hurrah. Are your roommates back, or some of your friends back now as well, or how's that?
a couple of my roommates are here. But we're just we're hanging out, doing what we can. I mean, it kind of stinks because like today we were actually, or I'm sorry, tomorrow I was supposed to actually graduate. So my parents were supposed to come down, fly down. I think some other family was supposed to come down. We would have. It's pretty nice here. So we would have went to some outdoor bars and stuff like that, hung out. It would have been great, but
Yeah.
so that kind of stunk. So we talked about that yesterday with my family, but yeah, we're just kind of making the best of it. I mean, hanging out, seeing each other for the last time. I mean, I'm sure we'll see each other again, but not in this. We don't have anything to do right now, so.
I'm guessing you guys will be celebrating a little bit this weekend amongst yourselves right there
Yeah.
in your
Yeah.
complex.
Yep.
I admit, well, the weather's probably in the mid to high 70s, right? Or no?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Little rainy today, but yesterday was really nice.
Hey, give people the lay of the land. I think what people don't realize is how Knoxville's kind of nestled in the hills and the river and all that. Can you kind of paint a picture of that a little bit of what the campus really looks like? Because initially when I heard Tennessee, I always thought it was like this flatland campus or something like that.
Yeah. So basically, that was another thing that really drew me to Tennessee. So I just remember the first time I was driving down with my family, you kind of in the top of Tennessee, bottom of Kentucky, you drive through the mountains, and I was like, holy cow, I've never, because I mean, growing up in Illinois, biggest thing we have are some hills. So
Yeah.
I was just amazed by that, the beauty of the mountains and stuff like that. And even on campus, like you said, we're in the Tennessee Valley, so we got the Smoky Mountains to our east, but then there's some other mountains to the west a little bit. So we're in a valley, and where I lived sophomore year, it was on kind of the top of a hill, and you'd walk down every day to class, and every day, as long as it was somewhat clear, you could just see the mountain range, which was just awesome to see on your,
Yeah.
8 a.m. You're like, oh, I don't want to go to class, but you kind of look up and see the mountains. You're like, okay, like it's pretty cool sight to see on your morning stroll. But so we got the mountains that you can see, and it's probably a 25 to 35-minute drive, depending where you want to go in the mountains, to go hiking, which we've done a couple times, and it's been beautiful and awesome. But along with that, which another really cool part of our campus is the river, as you're talking about, the Tennessee River. So we got our whole campus, and then the main strip of our campus is called pedestrian walkway. So it's just basically a big sidewalk, big brick sidewalk that basically all the students walk to. You can go to every class from it. And in the middle of that, towards the end of that, is the football stadium. So the football stadium is really integrated into our campus. So
Nice.
I walk past the football stadium every day to class. And right on the other side of that is the Tennessee River. So just yesterday, they got a really nice greenway you can run on. So yesterday I ran down the river past the football stadium. They've got all the boats docked up from that too. So another cool thing you can do, so you can sailgate. So
Sailgate, nice term, nice.
People will rent boats, almost like houseboats, and you can go up and down the river before game days, and you just pretty much tailgate on a boat, which is pretty cool. And then dock up, and then just walk up right up to the river to the football stadium, which I did once for the first time this past fall, which was so much fun. But yeah, it's a very balanced campus. Like the downtown city of Knoxville is right there too. But on campus, it doesn't feel like a city at all. It's kind of its own thing, which is really cool.
And that includes a strip as well.
Yeah.
Kind of got it.
Yeah. So I mean, if you want a city campus, I would say this is for you, because you can see the whole downtown of Knoxville from campus. But if you're not about that, you can just stay on campus too. And it really gives a nice balance, because it's a very compact campus, and it's beautiful, even though they're always doing some kind of construction that makes it seem a little ugly. But I don't know. Like I said, I've got a lot to say about the campus. I fell in love with it ever since I first came down here. So
I'm surprised you didn't convince your sister to come down.
I know. I tried. She got stuck in Mizzou.
How about your youngest one?
I don't think she's gonna go her own way. We asked her about that a couple weeks ago, because she's starting to get those, I don't want to say junk letters, but those college letters. But we're like, oh, would you ever go to Tennessee or Mizzou? She's like, no. Like, but she just, I mean, she's probably just saying that now, but she probably wants to make her own path. But she got a little interest letter from Alabama, so
Oh, there you go.
uh,
Keep it
we're like, you
in
cannot
keep
go
it in
there.
the SEC.
But no, I think I don't think she has anything against our schools, but I think she just kind of wants to go her own path probably. But we'll see.
Sure.
We'll see.
Now, if for people that don't know, can you just describe who are members of your family real quick?
Yeah, yeah. So Olivia, she is she's going to be a sophomore next upcoming year in college. She goes to University of Missouri. Paige is she's going to be a junior at Prairie Ridge. And then my mom and my dad. So.
Got it. And before we kind of shift gears to PR, describe, all right, you're a junior and senior on campus. You've kind of waited, because there's certain things you can do as a freshman and sophomore,
Right.
but junior and senior, it's all open to you, right?
Right.
What are some of the fun places? What were some of your favorite hangouts, bars, restaurants that you guys hung out at for people that might be considering Knoxville?
So honestly, compared to like I've gone and visited James a couple times down in Tuscaloosa, and they definitely have a better bar scene than us probably, because Knoxville's only got probably 4 or 5 bars on the strip.
That's
which
not
is fun.
enough. That's not enough for you.
Not enough, no. But ever since you turn 21 and you can go to it kind of unlocks everything. So there's a couple bars. So Cool Beans is like a great bar, and that's literally right next door to where I live. But great food. It's a really, really nice place. But we'd also go. Me and my friends started kind of a last hurrah tradition this last semester. So every Thursday we'd go just right across the street to a bar called the Half Barrel, and we do trivia every Thursday, which was fun. And then also, not to mention with that, Knoxville has a very big like brewery scene. So there's a couple. So like one's called Balter Beer Works, and they've got great food, great drinks. But it's kind of like a little bit of like a hipster bar kind of. But it was actually a Tennessee graduate. He's a chemical engineer that's like the brewmaster there, so it's pretty
Nice.
cool. Which it's just right down the road. But Tennessee's just got a lot of nice outdoor bars like that, little breweries. So those are fun to hang out at. They've got just nice relaxing areas to hang out at, especially when the weather's nice. Some of those bar games, like one of them has like soccer pool, so it's like it looks like a pool, like a billiards board,
Yeah.
but instead of hitting it with sticks, it's blown up and you got soccer balls and you're kicking them. Like you got to kick the cue ball at the other ball. So it's a cool place to go to outside of campus. So
Now, and then obviously it sounds like you got a lot of outdoor activities,
Mhm.
heading probably anything if people want to fish, hunt, hike, whatever, there's plenty of that as well, right?
Yep, absolutely. And so Tennessee, you can rent anything you want, anything you could imagine, fishing pole, kayak, camping gear from like our rec center. And
Mhm.
it's part of it's included with like your tuition or whatever you're paying to go to school. But for example, the one weekend, me and my friends went camping in the Smokies for fall break, and I rented like a big knapsack, like a sleeping bag, or I don't think I rented a sleeping bag, so that's kind of gross. But everything I needed for the weekend, and it was like $20 for a week.
Wow, that was
So
awesome.
that's pretty cool that you can, because everyone doesn't have all that camping stuff, obviously, and that might be like, oh, I don't have that, so I'm not going to go camping. But they really encourage that. Get out, and I wish I would have done that more, but it's easier said than done, especially when you're busy and there's so much stuff to do in college.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's all that stuff to do, in the mountains, fishing, stuff like that. So
How about your rec center? Does that compare with, that seems to be the big trend at colleges now, that, everyone's trying to up themselves with their rec centers. Was that like a cool hangout and a nice place to go work out for you guys?
yeah, it was good. I honestly wouldn't. These past couple of years didn't go there a ton, just because the gym that they have where I live is pretty nice.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, the rec center is pretty good. Probably not quite up to par with like Mizzou, just because Mizzou I think is like top 3 in the nation or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a great spot. I think it's like 3 stories. They got like 6 basketball courts there. The weight room's really nice, but sometimes that place just gets too crowded, especially in that second semester with everyone, trying to get their spring break bod going. But yeah, it's definitely a nice spot, and they've got some turf fields out there too, swimming pool. So it's really nice for sure. But a little
Was,
bit
it, was, was
far from.
was intramurals a big part for you, or did you get involved that being an athlete and how all of a sudden, man, you're like
Yeah.
football, baseball, the intensity of everything you were doing at Prairie Ridge, and then all of a sudden you go to college. So was that still part of your cycle?
Yeah, so intramurals is big, especially that first year, kind of missing that whole competition, just going out and doing stuff. So definitely got involved in that. Doing flag football was really fun. Did some softball, basketball, and basketball I did like 3-on-3, and then there's like a 5-on-5 one. But yeah, it was definitely fun to do that. And some of my friends go to like Illinois State and stuff, and I think they just tear it up in intramurals. But with Tennessee being such a big school, you're playing like kids that are in the same boat as me that were good athletes in high school, and then were like, I'm just going to go to school. So there was definitely some good athletes that you run into playing intramurals and stuff. So
How many students are at Knoxville?
I think it's like 25,000. That's just an estimate.
Yeah.
But I think it's around 30,000. That's just undergrad, but around 30,000 with everyone.
Sure. Did that feel? A lot of times people hear that number and they go, "Wow, that's just huge."
Mm-hmm.
Did campus feel huge, or how did you manage that part?
I wouldn't say it feels super huge when you're here, just because you can make it feel as big as you want, or you can also make it just feel as small as you want. So I think once you get to school here, you're kind of sectioned off, especially freshman year. Like you said, you're kind of in your own quad, so you're just mostly hanging around freshmen. I mean, you're gonna walk past everyone walking to class every day. But that freshman year, you're gonna figure out who you're gonna make your own friend group pretty much. So from that point on, you kind of branch out and start meeting people. So every year you're kind of building a bigger and bigger circle. But I didn't think it ever felt too big by any means. You kind of see the same people walking to class every day, and it's not necessarily like them, but you kind of just see the same faces every day.
Yeah.
But I never felt like it was too big by any means. And you it gets smaller based on your classes too, because you're in the same classes as everyone, especially in your major each year. So I never felt overwhelmed by any means.
So you had that family feel amongst
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, if you look back on faculty or advisors or people that you kind of encountered at Knoxville, are there any that stand out that really made a huge impact in your life while you were there?
I would just say probably this past year, one of my professors, Dr. Ikove, he actually wanted us, or he promoted one of his classes that he taught this for. It was a graduate class actually, but he promoted it to our like senior design class, and it was fire protection engineering, which is kind of like an up and coming. Well, it's not up and coming, but it's a very like niche thing that we're lucky enough to have offered here.
Sure.
He promoted that in our senior design class. So me and a couple of my friends had another class that we had to take this past semester. So we're like, oh, let's just sign up for it. It's because it sounded pretty cool, and he's a nice, cool, relaxing guy. But with that, I might actually try to do some online classes that first couple of years of working, and try to get that certificate, because you can do some cool stuff. There's like forensics with it. So it's like, say if there's like a fire in a big building for insurance purposes, or to see what happened, they'll hire on these fire protection people. And you basically model the fire on like your computer, and kind of see what happened, what went wrong, what not. So I thought it was really interesting. I thought it was a really cool class. So he
That's awesome.
really, he kind of opened our eyes to some stuff. He had some good stories, some good insight. He was definitely a good guy to know.
That's awesome. Now, how did you feel that Knoxville prepared you, and what was that recruiting process? I mean, how did you handle, and you could share kind of what your employment situation and what next is, but how did that whole process work for you?
So I was lucky enough. So each year, so that's summer of my freshman year, started off. I was lucky enough to get an internship every year. And those first 2 years, it was more so in around the Chicagoland area, and I felt really prepared just from class. I mean, you're not going to learn everything in school, obviously. Um, but I feel like I was prepared just from like a problem solving standpoint for those jobs. And then they do a really good job here, at least in the engineering field, of reaching out to companies, getting companies to come here with the professional practice here, and then as well as I got in contact with the Reliability and Maintainability Center, which is kind of uh, it's just a branch of the engineering college. So this past summer, so my junior year, they brought in a couple companies, and it was just like a meeting at one night, and had us talk to some of the higher ups of the company, and they interviewed us right on campus the next day, and then offered out some internships the following day. So I was just really lucky to, I would almost say right place, right time. But they really did a good job of not only preparing us for an internship, but also giving us the tools to find whatever we might be looking for in terms of that. And then from that, this winter, I was applied to Sargent and Lundy downtown Chicago, which is a consulting company for the power electric field, and I'm set to start working there mid-July.
That's awesome. Now, how was that process? Did that take a while? Was it fairly quick, or?
So they also have like it's called Handshake at school. So it's just like an online recruiting kind of thing. So you can just apply to a bunch of different jobs. So I applied to them either October or November, and someone from Sargent and Lundy, or not someone, like an HR guy, reached out to me and was like, "Hey, we saw your email. We'd love to fly you out here." And this was right around right after Thanksgiving. So I got back to him and I was like, "Hey, I'm actually from Chicago. I'm got a couple more. I got like a 1 week of school and then finals, and I'll be back in Chicago. So no need to fly me up or anything, because I'll be there. I can just take the train or whatever once I get home." So finished up finals, came home, and then like the next morning I had an interview downtown. So I took the train in, and then had an interview, like a couple different interviews all morning. Took the train home, and then they're like, "Oh, we'll get back to you like within a week, or like by like the end of the year. If you don't hear from us in the next couple of days, you'll hear from us in January." So I was like, "All right." I felt like it went really well, and then the next morning I woke up and there was an email with an offer, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is awesome!" So super
Wow.
relieved,
Yeah,
super relieved.
that's not normal.
Yeah, no. So I was like, I must have done something right, but but it was definitely awesome. I was that was like the first like big interview I've had. Kind of felt like a grown up, taking the training and whatnot, all dressed up in my suit and stuff. But yeah, I was lucky enough and then I obviously accepted that offer. But I was just relieved because it was kind of where I wanted to end up. I mean, ever since I went down to school here, that was my only worry, was being able to come back to Chicago, because most of the companies down here are kind of southeastern, Atlanta, some Nashville, North Carolina, like Charlotte and stuff. So I was a little nervous about being able to get back to Chicago, but really got that, and it's a great company, great job, and then that whole last semester of school, I didn't have to worry about going to job fairs and trying to stress about getting a job before I
Yeah.
graduate and stuff. So definitely very, very fortunate and blessed to get that when I did.
That's awesome. So let me, because you had mentioned a girlfriend, right? So
Yes.
I'm
Yep.
not trying to put you on the spot. So how is that now going to work for you guys? She's a UT
Yep.
student?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Uh,
She's a year younger than me too. So I mean, she's got a lot more school too. She's trying to do some PA program, which she's not sure where she'll end up there. But so she's a year younger, so she's got another year at UT, and then from there, I always
Grad
forget it.
school.
Another 2 or 4 years of that PA stuff. So not exactly sure how that'll all work out, but we'll figure it out. We'll
Gotcha.
be all
But
good.
right now, you wanted to come back, settle back in Chicago, and
Yep.
spend time there. You
Yep.
didn't get lured away to the south after the warm weather, or maybe I don't
Nah.
know. Maybe being back for a winter, you might
Yeah.
change your mind.
Yep, you might be right. But no, yeah, she's from Cincinnati, so she's got some family from the Chicagoland area too. So it'll all be good.
Okay,
We'll
great.
figure it out.
So thinking about Prairie Ridge now, um, how did you feel Prairie Ridge prepared you for the next step? Did you feel that was a positive experience? Did you, I know you had AP classes and things like that you were able to get credit for. How did you feel PR prepared you for your next steps?
I feel like Prairie Ridge did a tremendous job preparing myself, and I'm everyone that I've talked to, from my graduating class or from Prairie Ridge in general have felt the same way. I think that the teachers at Prairie Ridge did a great job really preparing you and really giving you that, I don't want to say college experience, but some of the classes I think in high school that I took that last year and a half were probably as hard, if not even a little harder than some of the classes you take in college. And I think that just really prepared you for what you're going to run into, especially some of the classes that I had to take those first 2 years of engineering with, like different calculus classes or physics classes. I felt very prepared, but I think that there were some people coming into college that they weren't quite ready for it, maybe just being from what their high school gave them in Tennessee or wherever they're from. But I thought the transition was great. I think that Prairie has definitely got it. They know what they're doing, preparing
Yeah.
you for college. So,
Were there any teachers specifically that you feel, man, they just had a huge impact on me and you wanted to kind of give a shout out to?
honestly, Miss Orsi. So I took BC Calc my last year of high school. So that's Calc 1, Calc 2, and that was probably one of my hardest classes I've taken in high school, and I struggled really, really hard, but she always, encouraged me. She knew I could do it. It was just probably the first time I've run into like a class in math or, science that I was like, gosh, this is hard. And ended up doing well, passed the AP test, but I didn't get out of like Calc 2 for college. Like I think you had to get like a 5. Didn't quite get that, which was fine because I was like, I'll take Calc 2 again my first semester because, like boost my GPA or whatnot. But
Yeah.
I felt that she did a great job of preparing you for what you're going to run into in college. And now with my tutoring job, I'm helping kids every day in that subject. So and it's amazing just looking back, back when I was a senior, I was like, gosh, this stuff is so hard. I don't understand how I'm going to do that. Now I know that stuff like the back of my hand, which is pretty cool. And it was all from her, the basis that she gave me from that class. So
That's awesome. Anyone else that you look back on, either on the field or in the classroom or in administration, that had a huge impact on you?
I would say just Coach Pack was awesome. Coach Pack, Coach Shrimp did a great job. Just preparing us. We always had great sports teams whenever I was there for football and baseball. You could just tell how hard they worked to prepare us, and then just to make sure that we had some success on the field as well as off the field. They really made the importance of grades and school as well as being a good teammate, a good person on the field, off the field. So I could go on and on. There's so many other people at Prairie Ridge that I could shout out and recognize, but yeah, I had a great time in high school, as you can as you can imagine. So
any favorite memories or humorous moments from either Coach Trump or Coach Peck?
oh man, I mean, some of them we probably can't share, but I should start writing a book for all the memories I have for baseball and football. But oh gosh, put me on the spot. I don't know, just in general, just all the times that we had, probably more so for baseball, just because we were together, just there all day, every day during the summer and spring, and I mean all year.
Yeah.
But just doing goofy stuff, even like I guess one that stands out to me, just I think we were on like a rain delay. I think it was a Saturday, and we were up, but it was an away game I think at Crystal Lake Central, and we were all up in that clubhouse. In that little clubhouse, there's like 20 of us all packed up there. And Ethan Routson was singing Don't Stop Me Now by Queen over the loudspeaker. And like it literally sounded just like Freddie Mercury, and it was just so funny. And then Pack was yelling at us to turn it down because we had to go to the game. So I don't know, just goofy and dumb stuff like that. Just like I said, I should start writing a book or writing it all down, but just so many funny, good times.
Now, do you still have connections with some of the PR folks, either students or faculty or anything like that?
Yeah. So, I mean, like my sister still goes there. So, she still all knows all those teachers and stuff there. We're family friends with some of the teachers there. Like we're good friends with the Carblum. So, stay in touch with them during the summers, especially. But it's just especially from my grade, stay in touch with James and Carp and Joey. We all, even though we all kind of split away once college hit. JT, how did I miss JT? Forget about JT, yeah. But just keeping in touch when we can. We're all busy, but especially once summer hit, as long as we were all in Crystal Lake, playing golf and stuff during the week. But staying in touch with them is big, just because it seems every time we get together, we somehow end up telling stories about something funny that Coach Peck did or something funny that someone on our team did. And so there's just so many memories there that, I don't know, we relive every time we hang out or, get talking to each other. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. So, hey, I really appreciate the time. I mean, you're an outstanding example of doing it right on and off the field, and I appreciate you sharing with the group. And kind of in closing, is there something that people don't know about Luke Annen? Some quirky, weird thing that people would be surprised to know about you?
Oh, man.
Other than the beard.
That came in college. So my beard is red. We got a red beard and brown hair. So
I will say you're picking up I'm picking up a little bit of Tennessee. Got a little bit in some of your words. I don't know if we get a y'all out of you, but
I'll say y'all. Y'all's a good word. No, I had to say it. I kept saying you guys down here, and people were looking at me weird. So y'all slides off the tongue a little nicer.
Got it. So
something I don't know.
That's all right. That's all right. We won't put you on the spot. We'll let other people chime in and decide.
That works. That works.
All right, Luke. Thanks again, man. You were awesome.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Everybody just